Hello there, this is Chinwe Russell, artist and curator in Doncaster, South Yorkshire, England. Today I will attempt to give you a brief introduction to Leonardo da Vinci. It is pretty much difficult really in this day and age to find anyone who has never heard of Leonardo da Vinci. But just in case you haven't or you have forgotten what a wonderful artist he was, I invite you to listen. The reason we are doing this is to help you understand a little bit more about art, or to introduce you to art and various artists who have gone before us and the ones who are present, and hopefully to encourage you to get more involved and to find out a bit more about the sector, and also to encourage you to go out and visit art events, exhibitions, and also to engage a bit more if you have always been curious, if you have always been interested about creating a piece of work. Because it's not just about art. Art leads to so many other things. Now, Da Vinci is more than just a famed Renaissance man who took the world by storm by painting the ultimate portrait, the Mona Lisa. I'm sure you've heard about the Mona Lisa. And this painting draws millions of people to Paris each year. I think about 6 million people or something like that, to the Louvre Museum, which is where it resides. Although you may be one of the several tourists who vacation in Paris just to take selfies with the painting, Leonardo da Vinci himself was a polymath and with a vast arsenal of knowledge about different subjects and many achievements under his belt. I have been to the Louvre Museum a few times to see the Mona Lisa, and believe me, by the time you do that long queue and you finally get to Mona Lisa, you'll be so moved. The very first time I saw the Mona Lisa, tears were coming down my face. It's that magical. And it's something that I encourage you to go and see. When we come out of lockdown. Leonardo himself was very prolific. He created many pieces of work, commissions, some big commissions and small ones. His work that we know, that we see today, quite a lot of them are attributed to him, but some have some doubts as to whether he created them or not. Da Vinci was born in 1452 near Vinci in Italy. His father was a guy called Messer Piero Frosino di Antonio da Vinci. Okay, sorry about the pronunciation, but what can I do? I'm not Italian. He was a notable landlord in the area who met a local peasant girl named Caterina. They were never married, and many people actually believe this may be because Caterina was a slave of possibly Arab descent. So they would get slaves in those days, and then they would baptize them and give them Christian names. That's what the story, a school of thoughts think that's what happened. Da Vinci was considered, of course, an illegitimate child, and he lived with his mother for 5 years before settling with his father. Now, his painting, the Mona Lisa, is probably the most famous painting in the world. I think that there's still a lot of mysteries that hover around the Mona Lisa. Many people are unsure if she is smiling, whether she was a man or a woman, whether she was one of Leonardo's lovers, or whether Leonardo painted himself as a woman, and why she never makes eye contact. Several controversies make the painting so exciting, and it really invites you to go and find out more. There's something quite enigmatic about the Mona Lisa. The more you look at her, the less you understand. At a certain point, you think she's actually smiling. Other times you think she's not. Other times you think she's looking at you, but then you think she's looking sideways. So it's a very, very intriguing painting. Mona Lisa has been the subject of many caricatures, films, books, and so much more. Now, another famous painting of Leonardo is a painting which I'm sure you know or you've heard of. It's The Last Supper. This mural, which can be found in the refectory of the convent of Santa Maria delle Grazie in Milan, sorry for the pronunciation, in Italy, is again a very famous painting the world over. Not only because of that painting, but also because of the story of Jesus and his disciples at the Last Supper. It's a very recognizable painting by Leonardo Da Vinci. It is an epic mural showing Jesus's final meal with his disciples. Does that ring a bell? And it depicts their expressions at the very moment Jesus announced that he would be betrayed by one of them. It is a miracle this painting has survived this long, because it was significantly damaged from bombings and environmental factors during World War II. However, it was restored to its former glory and is still one of the most scrutinized paintings in the history of art. This painting, like many of Leonardo's works, has also inspired many modern versions. You will see a lot of, if you do a Google search for The Last Supper, you will see many different variations of this most famous painting. Now, one other thing that Leonardo is very, very well known for is his notebooks. Da Vinci handwrote around 20,000 pages of sketches and illustrations and notes about things that interested him. He wrote from right to left, as like in the Arabic style, with letters inverted back to front. He combined words, invented new ones, rarely used punctuations, and he loved throwing in shorthand symbols and contractions. This made some experts believe he was both left-handed and dyslexic, but others think he did it on purpose to keep his notes private. I know who I want to believe. He probably, I don't know, it could be either one really. Now, being a successful artist, Leonardo was authorized to dissect human corpses at the hospital of Santa Maria Nuova in Florence, and later at other hospitals in Milan and Rome. Leonardo made over 240 detailed drawings about the human anatomy. So you can imagine how important these drawings were to the medical field at that time. Leonardo's drawings of the human anatomy were very extensive. They covered the skull, the skeleton, the muscles, and various organs in the body. Leonardo also studied and drew the anatomy of many animals, dissecting cows, birds, monkeys, bears, and frogs, and comparing their drawings to the anatomy of those of the humans. He made a number of studies of horses as well, illustrations. There are many paintings which are attributed to Leonardo da Vinci. Obviously, the number one is the Mona Lisa that everyone knows, and number two is the Last Supper. You also have the Salvator Mundi, which is attributed to Leonardo da Vinci. I think it was it discovered recently in some flat somewhere? I'm not sure. Then you have the Virgin and Child with Saint Anne. You have there's also the Madonna of the Yarn Winder. You have Bacchus, I think, god of wine. You have Benoit Madonna, which is another painting of his. You have Dreyfus Madonna. So he seems to have painted quite a few Madonnas, and he painted some private portraits like La Belle Feronia. You have Lady with the Ermine. You have Leda and the Swan. There was a little Madonna, so another Madonna. Then you have Madonna of the Carnations. You have portraits of the musicians. He paints just a vast number of paintings. One of my favorite paintings of Leonardo da Vinci is a portrait of Leonardo Da Vinci. Not sure how to pronounce that, which is a painting that I just can't stop looking at. It's so beautiful, and I encourage you to have a look. There's so many other paintings that are attributed to Leonardo da Vinci. There's also the most famous one, which is Saint John the Baptist, the Adoration of Magi, the Annunciation, the Virgin of the Rocks, which is another very famous one, and the Battle of Angari. So I will encourage you to go and find out a little bit more about Leonardo da Vinci. Now in Doncaster today, we have many artists who are working in the area. They will be the Leonardo da Vinci of the future. I will encourage you to find out a bit more about this artist. There are various organizations, art organizations in Doncaster, and I encourage you to have a look, get involved. You have the D31 Art Gallery. There's lots of exhibitions planned. You have the Doncaster Art Fair, you have the Right of Our Street, you have CAT, we have the Doncaster Museum, the brand new one. So I really encourage you to get involved in the visual arts. It's quite an interesting area. I hope this has been useful to you. This is Chinwe Russell. Thank you very much.